Another day. Today I'm going to attempt to get this engine in. We got it all prepped the last episode, getting the alternator bracket worked up, and I'm still working on a little L L bracket to sturdy up the back of it, because it's not as stiff as I would like. So I'm just going to put a little bracket in the back to support it a little bit with an adjustment so it'll move with the alternator. But that's easy stuff. Today we're going to try to get the engine in. I got some new wheels for this thing, and they've been taking up space in the shop, and I was very, very tempted to go ahead and put those on. But that's not really an entire episode, putting a set of wheels on. Pretty much I'll zing them on and stick it on the end of an episode somewhere just so you guys will watch the whole thing. You'll probably skip to the end just to see them. But, we'll throw them on there at the end of an episode somewhere, or, they'll just already be on. Because watching me take tires on and off, probably not the most exciting thing you could watch. But it is when you're done. So the before and after, that's kind of fun, right? It's like, whoa, that looks good. I've gone through that many times. One time I had a guy come running out from the shop over to where I worked, next door. He was so excited because my car looked so good when he put the wheels on. He just had to show me. And he was right. It came out pretty cool, and you've seen that car before. It's that red Corvette. But that was going back 20-something years ago when I bought that car. And he was right. When he came running over and I came and looked at the car, I was like, whoa. I fell in love with it. I was in love with it anyway. But needless to say, I'm going to quit talking here shortly. We're going to try to get this engine in. Maybe, if I'm lucky, I'll get the transmission on the back of it, because I have to make sure it's going to line up. So even if the engine sets into place, I don't know if the V8 is going to sit, forward and back in the right spot. So I don't know if my shifter is going to be, in the back seat or in, up in the dashboard. And I've seen that happen. That happens a lot with Mopars. Guys will buy the wrong 4-speed. And if you don't know about Mopars, and you can watch that video, Mopars have different locations for the shifters. And if you put an A body in a C body, you'll be shifting underneath the dashboard, If you put a B body in a C body or an E body, then your shifter's it'll be in the, up against the dash. So when you go to put it into second gear, third, or first and third, right? Yeah, first and third, you're going to be bashing your knuckles against the dashboard every time. With an A body, you'd be under the dashboard. So it's important to know what transmission you got. In this particular case, we're using the right transmission for the car, but we're sticking an engine in there that it may have come in this kind of car, but not with this kind of transmission. So I don't know what I'm up against. I don't know what kind of can of worms I'm getting into. But I bought all the mismatched parts I had to buy, and I'll explain that when I get to it. But I've got a different size clutch disc. Like, I got a 10-inch pressure plate with a 9.5-inch disc, and the disc is not getting hit 100%. So not an ideal situation. But my only other option was a 10-inch clutch disc with splines that were, I think 100 thousandths too big, so that's 50 on a side. It's not a lot, and it worked, but it was a little sloppy on the splines, and I think I would rather burn through clutch discs than to burn through transmission input shafts. So the lesser of the two evils. I bought both to try them out. Fortunately, the 10-inch was only $50, not even. It was like $36. So that was not a lot of skin off of my nose. But the 9.5-inch disc, I had to buy an NOS piece because they just aren't making them anymore. And it was considerably more. And when I say considerable, I'm talking like 5 times more. But I couldn't find one anywhere. So when I finally got this one, he's like, NOS. I'm like, yeah, it means new old stock, but to me it means it's going to cost me a lot of money. I have to come up with some clever way, NOS, lots of money somehow. We'll figure that out. Maybe you can put that in the comments. Put something for NOS that means you're going to spend a whole lot more money on it. But anyhow, NOS is cool. It's brand new but old, if that makes any sense. And so that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and get started on this car, because it's I think it's about 3 o'clock on a Sunday. And I don't really want to be up all night on a Sunday. Got to go to work in the morning. So let's see if we can get this engine in. Maybe next time, if I get done early enough, which probably won't, I'll stick these wheels on, give you a little gander at the wheels. But we got plenty more to do on this car. I still got to put the gas tank in and stuff like that. So when we get, a day that we get stuff done pretty early, we'll go ahead and pop these wheels on and give y'all a look-see. Maybe like the day we drive it, we put the wheels on, just so it can look cool going down the street, right? Anyway, the car's staying old school. We're going to keep a lot of the patina, which we have tried to preserve a lot of the patina so far. Same with the engine. I'm contemplating nitrous. I don't know why. I just can't leave stuff alone. But if y'all think nitrous is a good idea, put it in the comments. And I got a nitrous kit sitting here, but it's for a 4-barrel. This is a 2, but we can make that work. So anyway, let me know. In the meantime, let's get started on this engine. Numero uno, we need to take this off. This out and well, let's hope that the flywheel bolts from the 6-cylinder will interchange with these V8 flywheel bolts, because I forgot to buy flywheel bolts. These are for flex plate because this was an automatic engine. And let me tell you a little thing about AMC. When I bought the flywheel for this engine, it has to be engine specific because they're externally balanced, and it has to be balanced for this engine. So hang on to your pocketbook if you ever decide to build one of these and put a 4-speed in it. But let's go see if the 6-cylinder has the right bolts and keep our fingers crossed. I'll be dipped in horse buggy. This, even though it was an automatic, it has a pilot shaft bushing in it already. I measured the pilot shaft bushing, and then I measured the shaft on the transmission, and wouldn't you know, it's right. I gotta hand it to AMC. So far, so good. We keep this up, things may work out really well. Maybe she'll just slide right in. Look at that, and there's the flywheel bolts out of the 6-cylinder that came out of this car, and they fit right in there too. So far, we are batting 1,000. Let's hope for the best. When this engine, how many people think this engine's just going to slide in and everything's going to fit? Raise your hand. Right. See, this guy's not up. See this guy over here? He's not optimistic. Come on, guys. Let's be optimistic. Yeah, see? Got to listen to the women. She says it's going to work. We'll see who's right. Anyway, let's give her a shot, see where we're going. Fingers crossed. Well, here's the flywheel. Oh, boy. There's issue number 1. It doesn't have a hub. Oh. Yep. It has nothing. So, I've got to figure out... Golly, I'm going to have to hold this thing while I try to put it on here. You know, I think we're going to get smart about this. Let's see if we can't get my little table to help out. Plan B. It's got a groove in the back. The pocket is on the flywheel, not on the... But I still don't know that I'm going to be able to hold this and put in a... Man, that's on there. But I'm not seeing a... So let me get some kind of a light over here. These two here look closer together than the rest. So what I'm going to do is these two here look closer together than the rest as well. So we're going to try to put those two together and see just if I'm right or not. I'm looking pretty good here. Come on, girl. Oh, she's not playing nice. is using my head. Oh, well. There's one in there. But the others are not lining up, I don't think. That one's not lining up. So, failure number 1. Failure number 2. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Nope. That one's not lining up. Failure number 3. Hoop. And hope failure 4. Can only go on one way, I'm guessing. Yep. Can't tell. I don't have my glasses, so we're gonna have to. I think that's it. Phew. Oh. Let's see if that did it. Well, I'll be. That was it. Phew. Man, that's using your head, right? But whoo-wee. Okay. Now these have a torque spec, so I'm going to zing them on real quick. And I think I'll go ahead and get it in the car, and I can torque it from underneath. And I think that'll be a little bit better than me bending down trying to do it off the cherry picker like I am. I'm a little worried about this. This is one of those heat risers. And if it's closed, that's going to restrict my exhaust. So once again, I need to probably remove this, which I didn't want to do. You know what? We're going to test it and see if it's open, because I don't want to take that out because I'll end up having to replace that donut gasket. To the parts store to get a longer screwdriver, and it's, you know, longer. I was hoping for one maybe like this, about half this length, and I couldn't find one, but I found the extra long one. So, but this will work for this. Well, guess what, folks? Yep, it's closed. Of course it's closed. So this is going to have to come out. We're going to have to dig up a new gasket for the exhaust. And I may or may not be using this anyway. I was kind of hoping to reuse this to try to hook it to another exhaust that doesn't exist yet. So maybe we'll be taking this off altogether anyway and putting something different on. I've got a couple of complete exhausts that came off, dual exhausts that came off of some A-body Mopars, and so far this car's been liking A-body Mopar stuff. So we'll see where that puts us. But for the meantime, we're going to have to take this off because that thing's closed and it's never going to open again. Yep, she was very closed, so it would have been a disaster to try to run it. She'd have been choking on herself. So there we go. This, you had to see that to appreciate it. Threw it in a bucket, bounced off the bucket, hit my drop light, knocked the drop light down, bounced off the lift, and hit the ground. Yep. What are the chances? Alright. That's why I don't play basketball. Alright. And I forgot to zing these, so let me zing those real quick. Alright. Now those are pre-torqued, not actually torqued. We'll get a torque wrench and do them right once we figure out where right is. Okay, now we'll pull it back, making sure there's no critters living in there. Not too smart sticking my hand in there since we do have black widow spiders in this area. Not too worried about snakes. They're not going to crawl. Well, they might, but not likely. But the black widows, they like dark spaces. Spaces? Anyway, you stick your hand in a place like this, here in Tennessee, and you feel a spider web, you get your hand out of there real quick. I did that one time to a motor mount, went to flip an engine over, stuck my hand in the motor mount, felt the web, pulled it out, looked at it, sure enough, black widow. So, anyway, just a little advice, especially for you, Derek, because if you're watching this, you just moved here to Tennessee, and yep, you're going to be dealing with black widow spiders. Here's what we're running into, folks. For one, we're a little bit off on the mount. Let's see if I can get you in here to look. There we go. And you'll see, if you look up in here, the mount is just about missing the hole. Here's the hole here, and the mount is up here somewhat. I can probably get it to go in, and this one is just setting on top of the mount. This is the bolt. It has to go here, from there to here. And we're pretty darn close when it comes to this K-member, or this cross member. We've got about a half an inch or so to go down. If I bring this all the way down to here, I think we're going to be into it. So I might be able to get to these holes, but this is what I found out. If you look ever so closely, look, I didn't notice these before, but no freeze plugs. There's two pieces here with no freeze plugs. I mean, two holes. But anyway, they're supposed to have freeze plugs. And look, that's missing the bolt. I didn't notice any of that. So, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to have to pull the engine back out and fix those two freeze plugs, which I probably don't have. I'll have to order. And then what I may do is I'm going to go ahead and put these mounts in the holes and then try to set the engine down on top of it. And then we'll have to make adjustments according to, the brackets. I'm going to do a little research. Maybe I have to buy, maybe they have V8 motor mounts for this car I can just put in, or I'll have to do some phone calls. So I think we're thwarted for the day, unfortunately. But I could put the wheels on. But we need to get these fixed first. Get those fixed in there, because that's definitely a big no. And then I think we'll try to set the mounts in place and then just drop the motor in and see what happens. So that's where I'm at now. I do think the motor mounts may work where they're at if I use these, because the motor mount has a single. The chassis has a single hole. These motor mounts have a double hole. I'm only going to use the bottom one, and that should give me enough clearance on my cross member, but I don't know for sure. So we may have to do a little fabricating after all. I may just, while I got it out, I may go ahead and put a slot here. Slot that, same with this one up here. And that way I can set it where it needs to go, no matter where that may be. And I think we can get it to work if we do that. I'm pretty confident if we slot those two holes. The location is good. And so pull this out, slot the holes, fix the freeze plugs, and I think that'll do it. And let's see, is there anything else that you can see that you can help me with? Nope, I think that's all of it. If I could get the motor mounts in, I would try to see if the transmission lines up. But I'm going to take a look at the pulling the engine video and just see how far we are on that. She is. I was going to say she looks a little off center, but she is, because I don't have either motor mount in. But I think we're just about the right distance from the firewall. And I think if we slot that, and this is another problem I ran into, is this was stopping it from going back any further. So I'm going to have to remove that bracket to get past this, or somehow figure out how to. But yeah, it's definitely stopping the works here. And other than that, I think we're good. So move this, slot the motor mounts, put some freeze plugs in this thing, and that should get us what we want to get. While disappointing, it did point out a few things. This is behind the motor mount. Of course, it's always the one behind the motor mount. So it would have been very, very not good if I had went through all that to install this thing and discovered that. So even though it appears to be a humdinger, in reality it's kind of did me a favor. I guess I pulled that off back when I pulled this engine. I wasn't actually planning on doing this with this engine years ago. When I first pulled it, I just pulled it to get it out of the car. And I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. And I actually got a 6-cylinder to put back in this Gremlin. And I put both for sale, and whichever one sold, I would install the other one. Well, the 6-banger sold, so that's the one. This is the one that gets to go in. Now I'm going to check these other. What I don't understand is why these are gone, because the rest of them are in good shape. They're nice and greasy. But I'm going to chip some of this. There's a lot of crap in there that needs to come out. So I'm going to chip some of this away, and I guess we'll give her a good flush once she's out. I thought for the sake of the video, I'd go ahead and show you the mounts here. There's the one mount. Whoop. Let's try that again. There's the one mount right there. And see, I've got it in the actual holes. And there's the other mount. And I've got it in the actual holes. Whoop, where is it? There it is. And that's in the actual holes. And they're in the position they would be on the engine. The problem is they're sitting a little bit, I think, on the low side. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to either make a bracket to raise them up, or like I said, I'm going to slot them. And if I slot them, that should allow me to mount them a little bit higher in the saddle. And that is basically my plan for right now. So let's go ahead and I'm going to finish digging out the crud in there. Then I'm going to slot these. Well, no, let's go ahead and slot these now. And that way maybe I can salvage this video. So I had to climb up in here. I'm kind of hoping that these drill bits are sharp. Because if they're not, I'm going to be starting all over again. But the easiest way to do this is to just drill a hole up above this one. And yes, I know my viewers that know better and are machine shop people and drill people, yes, I should be putting oil on this, but no, I didn't bring any with me, so yep, I'm being bad. So we're going to go ahead and drill this one. You'll probably be looking at my backside, so we'll spare you that one, but we'll get back to this one in a minute. Here we go with the bigger drill. You got to be careful with this one, because if it's sharp, which she is, she'll snag on you. So you kind of push gentle, let the drill do the work. Well, there we go. Okay, well, I was going to use my cordless grinder and just kind of zing in between here. I don't think it's going to happen, so I'm going to have to probably use a die grinder. So I can maybe salvage this day, because we didn't succeed in doing anything other than finding problems, which is part of it. We'll go ahead, and I've already mounted those, got those slots in and mounted those mounts in there, and I'm going to go ahead in the morning and order myself some freeze plugs. We'll get those in, and then hopefully maybe next week we can get this thing in. For now, just so I feel like I've accomplished something, we're going to go ahead and change the wheel. Crappy view, but this is the Gremlin with the new wheels on it. She's got Krager's now, and I definitely, this one's sticking out a little bit. Didn't do my homework on that one, but I got them, they're swap meet wheels, you know, so I didn't care. Like I said, this is a budget build, and I don't have enough room in the shop to back up and get a good look at it. So there it is, some fatties in the back and skinnies up front. I did spring for new ones up front, just couldn't find any, but I did some trading on these back ones. Stick out a little bit, but they're cool. I might have to put some bump stops or air shocks or something, but you know, try to get an overall view. Yeah, it's the best it gets, folks, for right now, till I get this thing out of the shop. But at least we got something done today, and let me clean this mess up and we'll conclude. The agony of defeat. I was hoping it would go in. I'm pretty sure the motor mounts would have worked with a little bit of finagling, because everything was right where it needed to be. I just needed to get the holes lined up, but putting those slots in there definitely are going to make life a lot easier when I slide it in next time, and then I'll have some adjustment if I need it. But all in all, once I tighten it back up, we're back in beeswax. We ran into Gremlins. They named this car appropriately, but you know, earlier in this episode we were talking about who was going to be right about whether the mounts would work if it would just slide right in. Well, both people were right, or anybody who said it wouldn't slide right in, you were right. It didn't slide right in because I never pursued it that far. I think it may have, but I'm not going to take that chance anyway. So I think it would have lined up, so the ones, or the people, several, whatever, that said it would just pop right in, they were optimistic. I think it would have. The problem wasn't the motor mount so much as it was there's no freeze plugs, and there was no point in going any further once I realized that. I would have pulled that little shifty thingy out of there, and which I did, and that would have, I think, struggling with those mounts would have eventually got them into place. But why struggle? Once I saw what I was up against, Mopars have a slot, and they actually have a hole on one side, so you lie that one up, and then the slot fits in on the other side, and that's just how they do things. And I always wondered, why not just put a slot on both sides? And I guess that's because technically you can go cattywampus, right? But really, would that matter? You know, you can sit there and move it until it's where you want it, and then tighten it up. You know, so it's 6 1/2 dozen more. So I put a slot on both sides. Probably didn't have to. Left the bottom of the hole where the bottom of the hole is, and that way, if she does go all the way in, like the 6-cylinder did, if it goes all the way to the bottom, I still have my reference point. I haven't moved it at all. But if for whatever reason the engine needs to be shifted up or down, the slot will allow that. Just making things easier for the future after I saw how things were. Gonna get those new, tomorrow morning I'm going to go ahead and order my new freeze plugs. We'll get those in next weekend, unfortunately. I wanted to at least put the wheels on, and it was kind of moot because can't get a good picture of it for you all until I get the car off the lift. There's just not enough room in this shop to take good pictures. You know, you got the lift in the way. I got stuff everywhere. So I guess that's not a bad thing. You know, if you've got so many tools and so many parts that you don't have any room to work, it's frustrating, yes. But it's like having too much food in the refrigerator. You got to move some things to get to what you want. But that's a good problem I have. There's people out there starving, right? So if I got too many tools, I bet some of you would, like to have that problem. So I'm not complaining. It's getting later. It's a Sunday. The wife still has a few things for me to do today. I didn't know I had a honey-do list, but evidently I do. So I need to get those finished up before dark. Nothing big, but still got to get it done before dark. So we're calling it quits. I can't really go any further anyway without without some freeze plugs. But as always, if you haven't subscribed yet, now I'm filthy dirty by the way. If you haven't subscribed and you like these videos, please subscribe. It helps me out. My goal is to have 1,000 subscribers by next year. That's not a horrible goal. We're almost a quarter of the way there. But if you all will help me and get me some subscribers and get some folks to be watching my videos, I'm looking for 1,000 subscribers. As always, I lost for words. What? Anyway, but if you don't like my videos, as usual, just don't watch them.